The big buzzword these days is globalization. We eat Indian food, we go on holiday in Spain, and we buy clothes made cheaply in China. But to enjoy these advantages, Britain has had to open up too. That means opening our doors to foreigners buying up Britain. In a couple of years' time, this building site is going to be the tallest and most expensive new apartment block in the country. There's going to be two of them, the Pan Peninsula Towers just south of Canary Wharf, and the company selling them has come up with an ingenious idea to impress potential clients.
And this is it, a £5 million floating marketing suite, right next to where the towers are being built. Inside here, you can really see what dreams are made of.
And this is what you'll get. At 50 floors, it's going to be Britain's highest apartment building. In it, there's going to be shops, a health spa, 24-hour concierge service, a restaurant, a private cinema, and right at the top, what I suspect will be a rather exclusive cocktail bar. But, and this is the point, many of the buyers are foreign. It's attracting people who work in Canary Wharf and who are used to a little high-rise living. This building appeals to the international market.
This is a construction site in the very heart of London, and yet the site's developers are Irish, the architects American, and the interior designer is from Singapore.
So what? It's still a British building, isn't it? Well, not really. When you actually look at what's going into the construction of the towers, there's not much that is British.
The steel comes from the company that was British Steel, but is now Anglo-Dutch, for the moment at least. The glass in the windows is Japanese, and the cement is Mexican. Even the electricity supply is owned by the French, and the water was recently sold to an Australian company by a German one. Pan Peninsula Towers is a perfect example of what's been happening over the last few years. A flood of British companies passing into foreign ownership. A third of all British PLCs are now foreign owned.
Although it's very hard to put a figure on it, there's a general agreement among economists that Britain is the easiest country in the developed world in which to take over a company. Only nuclear and defence are not for sale.
Until the 1980s, our utilities, electricity, gas and water, were nationalised industries, part of our heritage. Not anymore. Nearly 2/3 of electricity companies and 1/4 of water companies are now foreign owned. Richard Smith is a retired engineer who lives in the Thames Water region. He's been dismayed by the lack of investment in the infrastructure since the utility was taken over by a foreign company. So every time Richard finds a water leak, however small, he reports it.
I suppose it's kind of built into me that you don't waste, and that's waste. And any leak, even a trickle, you multiply it up by hours and days and weeks, is a lot of water.
So how does Richard feel about the fact that his water supply is owned by a foreign company?
It's disconcerting because it's the personal side of it, and the relationship to the company has gone. It's all bottom line, accountants and money management, and they're worried about getting their shareholders. I just hope they worry about the state of their pipes as well.
But there are times when foreign companies have struck the right note when they've bought up what used to be nationalised utilities. In 1998, the French energy company EDF bought London Electricity, and one of the first things they did was push ahead with this project.
It's a combined heat and power station in the heart of a small East London housing estate. The principle is simple. This gas-driven engine generates electricity, which is fed into the national grid. The waste heat from the engine is used to heat up huge quantities of water. That hot water is then piped out to around 600 local homes and other buildings in the neighbourhood, including a community centre and a swimming pool, at a reduced cost to the residents.
It's simple and it works. The local residents get cheaper heating. EDF managed to boost their profits by selling electricity to the national grid. In this case at least, it seems that local inhabitants have benefited from foreign ownership. So does it really matter that so much of Britain is foreign owned? What effect does it have on the British economy?
Of course, opinions are strongly divided.
Britain gets better management because of the competition for management brought in by companies from other countries. It gets more capital because of the money being brought in from other countries. And it has a reputation that enables it to invest in other countries more freely because it is an open door policy here.
But you can't say as a general principle that everything that foreign ownership brings is beneficial. There are some foreign companies who bought our utilities who actually are long-term. They want to deliver quality water, quality gas, electricity, whatever it might be. Others, frankly, are just passengers. They're just coming here for the ride for a year or two or three. They're going to sweat the assets, sell them on, and they don't really care about the quality of the utility thing it is they're providing.
Well, whether or not you think selling off the utilities is going a step too far, as we'll see later in the programme, it's Britain's liberal attitude to regulation and foreign ownership that's helping to keep our financial centre at the very heart of the global economy.
Whether they're British or foreign owned, the utilities still contribute 2% to our economy every year. Now to one of my favourites, transport. Probably won't surprise you to hear it takes nearly as long now to travel by train from York to Scarborough as it did 50 years ago. Transport and communications earn less today than they did then. It's now dropped to just 5% of the economy. But there's one part of the economy that's taken the most dramatic drop of all.